Yeah. Every conversation can and will elevate you. It's where real talk meets real growth. Back to the studio. Welcome back to Level Up. This is the second time I'm hosting Zoe. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. Happy to
Nice.
be here in a real studio with about 10 cameras around me. I was born for this. All good.
Yes, thanks to the podcast camera. Of course, I'm going to share the details so you can check it out.
Yeah.
Well, it's really nice to have you back in the show. It has been a while since the first time.
Yeah.
So what changed? What happened?
Changed. I mean, I think our careers are constantly developing. That's something I absolutely love about being independent. So I think I do consider myself an entrepreneur. And so I'm able to kind of go with the trends, what's happening in the industry. I get to talk to a lot of people and kind of adjust my product and adjust my offering and adjust what I'm doing in the industry as I go. So what's changed is I've not gone away from content. I still love content, social media. Communication is always going to be me, but I'm thinking more about the distribution platforms that we're using and how that's being digested by our end client. In this case, my end client is tech company, but our end client, together is the hotelier.
Yeah.
So, it's becoming increasingly hard to reach that hotelier because there's a lot of noise. The tech ecosystem is extremely complex. Now we've got AI. So I'm thinking more about distribution and go-to-market strategies and how we can create new go-to-market strategies that fit the times that we're living in now.
Yeah, we're going to unpack a lot of that. Hopefully we can do all of them. But absolutely, you're right. I've been, of course, following you and you've been very active the past weeks. I think also traveling a lot, doing a lot of covering those topics. I think AI is definitely one we're going to talk about. But let's start with what makes you really busy or the close to your heart. I think from talking to you is the go-to-market strategy they've been trying to build.
Definitely. So I think tech companies are having to, like I said, rethink their distribution strategies because what used to work in, the late sort of 2018, 2019, early 2000s is not working anymore.
Yeah.
So mass emailing, mass
Oh, it's
DMing
gone.
on LinkedIn, even though we now have the AI tools to do that at an even larger scale, doesn't mean we should be doing that. Our industry is very much based on relationship building. So relationship building is based on trust, which is actually something I talked about on a panel yesterday. So when we're talking about our go-to-market and our marketing strategy within our industry, we always need to be thinking about trust. So what does that look like? What does trust look like to you?
For me, it's about like every single moment or part of my career been about trust. It's like everything is trust, definitely. It can go all directions. So for me, trust is that base you built with a client and everything comes after is based on that. So if I think of sales, for example, and relationships, it's been always for me the trigger point, if I'm able to let the client trust me and then I know that I'm going to work with this client for years and years, no matter where I go, they will stay with me. So it's not like something that you can just talk about it and say it. It takes time. It takes lots of also efforts. If I was able to make a client trust me, then everything else comes after is easy.
100%.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you just said. And I think, so you're from the hotel side, I'm from the vendor side, which is interesting.
Very interesting.
I was on a panel yesterday talking about vendor-hotelier relationships and how trust has really broken down because not just because of, you know that.
I agree.
How many vendors do you get approached by?
I agree.
And emails and calls and insistence perhaps when you're not in the right part of the sales cycle and they're not listening to you or, RFPs where they're saying yes to everything. We discussed that on a panel yesterday at the Global Revenue Forum with a vendor, a hotelier and a consultant. And it was a really interesting discussion topic because I feel like for both vendors and hoteliers, we can't go into the future of hospitality without mending that relationship or protecting that relationship because hoteliers need tech.
Yes, of course.
And the guests need the tech.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. But how do you think we can change that? Like, what is your tactics or what are you trying to build?
I think that we can mend it with more honest and trustful marketing. So, for example, marketing what we have on the table. I would say, like, let's sell what we have on the table. We can talk about the roadmap. We can talk about where we're going. And actually, hoteliers should definitely ask their vendors where they're going in the future because they may need capabilities that are going to change. And it's exciting to see what your vendor's doing. But they really should sell what's on the table. from the vendor point of view, it's not always easy to communicate clearly with hoteliers. So we've got this issue where a lot of vendors are coming from a non-hotelier background.
Yeah.
And hoteliers didn't sign up to be tech experts. You know, they
Not
want
at all.
to be on the floor serving their guests, you know, and that's where they're put to best use as well. I had a lovely guest experience today in the Hotel Casa that I stayed at, where I got up well
Nice.
before breakfast. I needed to charge my power bank. I said, "Oh, have you got any breakfast?" They said, "No, breakfast starts at 7." I went upstairs, changed, didn't think about it, heard a knock at the door, and they bring me a little, you know, bag with some croissants
Nice.
and stuff in it. I was like, that
Yeah.
was a wow moment.
Yeah.
They actually didn't even need to look at the PMS to know my preferences. I was just a guest that needed some breakfast. So that's what hoteliers do best. And yet they're asked to dive through this really complex tech stack that's just now with an AI layer on top is just becoming mind-blowing. So I think that the future as well is with consultancy. I think that is in all areas of life. Like we're seeing, I don't know, you want to get in shape. Okay, let's get a personal trainer for a few months. Nutrition, the same. Same with your business. If you want to improve your business, you get a business coach.
Of course.
A consultant's basically a coach that will come in, vet what's going on for you in the industry, do all the demos for you, and sort of come back with a short list for the hotelier who's busy. So I see that as, you know, not every hotel can do that, but I see that as a great way of going forward, or an advisor.
Yeah, of course. And this will be for hotels, maybe translate into like somebody to help in the tech stack, you know, how can you make that balance or fill that gap?
Exactly. And you kind of need that because, again, as a hotelier, you can't and you're not expected to keep up with the incredible rate of change. It's crazy. Yesterday, somebody said that he thought that we've had more change in the last 18 months than we have in the last 18 years.
I think so.
So just to put it into context.
The way I see it, that there's only few players take the lead into new technology or into new way of working or using sort of AI tool, whatever. The old tradition way is everyone is comfortable with where they are and everything is going well and I guess satisfaction is good and there's only few players really try to step up and change something. And the reason why I'm talking about that, I want to talk about partnership with Muse. I think we all heard it with Uber, and I think is this definitely really great move in a time where almost nobody ordering taxis, right? So you have all these partnerships with limousines and all that. And very few people will order that or use that because everyone want to get the Uber, right? Everyone want. So if you can do that directly from the hotel, from your stay included, and then that means also data. So also the hotel will start to see the data of how many guests are going where, all of that. Absolutely. We are on the game of data. Like data is definitely the most important for hospitality, for everything. So how do you think about that change and where we're going with that?
I think it's a great partnership for so many reasons. It was just one of the things that they revealed at Muse Unfold last week, which was a spectacular event, like absolutely mind-blowing.
Shout out
because of the organization, because of the people, because of the way that the product releases were presented, the product releases themselves. And one of them, was the partnership with Uber, which for me, of course, as a brand partnership, it's insane because Uber,
of course,
Muse, like that association is just fantastic. And then on the other side, it signals a hospitality tech company branching out into the travel space. So I think that is logical and brilliant and interesting. And I'm super interested in the travel space. I generally have worked in hospitality technology, but I'd be completely open to travel tech because I think it's somehow it's much more fast moving. It's much more dynamic.
Yeah, of course.
We're always saying in hospitality, oh, look how the airlines do it. But actually, it's not often that we go to a travel technology conference, funnily enough, and bring those insights back. Muse has now, moved into that area. And so I think that's a really interesting move. At the end of the day, it's the same guest gets on the plane, that gets in the Uber, that gets to your hotel. So to expand your ownership of that guest journey and your data insights of that guest journey is brilliant. And then, for the hotelier, and I was questioning when I first heard it before hearing the speech on stage, I was questioning, well, why are they doing this? Because we all have Uber on our phone, so big deal. Like, I'd rather order it on my phone Then go into the guest app and why? Well, from the hoteliers' point of view, they've been complaining about it. So Muse has listened to their user feedback, because they'll generally have a fleet of taxis that they rely on, and that's a limited capacity. It's not flexible.
Of
Uber
course.
is
Absolutely.
infinitely flexible.
Yeah.
So for that reason, they can really cover the guest needs and avoid complaints, avoid people hanging around in the lobby for a taxi that doesn't arrive or goes somewhere else. And for the guest, if they want to book that, let's say,
In advance. Exactly.
And not have to think about their journey.
Absolute.
So it really benefits everyone.
You get inside the reservation already from before you arrive or before you leave, if you go to airport or get anywhere. So I see the benefit out of it.
Yeah.
But for me also, the partnership itself, it opens doors for a lot other, hopefully partnerships that comes. It can be also in different direction. But I think that already moved, opens the doors for more. But who's next? Somebody takes.
Yeah. It opens the door for so much more. And I think for Uber, thinking of the benefits for Uber is they could provide amazing guest experiences within their taxis with the information they have from the PMS. So
yeah, of course. It's both sides. Yeah, it's both.
Daughter's birthday.
Yeah. There's so much possibilities out. That's why I love the partnership, because it opens the doors for so many benefits to all sides. Like I said, to the guest, to the hotel, to Uber as well, to Muse.
Yeah.
And definitely it's a really bold move and I love it. How was the event? How was Muse?
Fantastic.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's my second time at the event and I loved it last year. I was speaking on stage for the first time last year, potentially in front of 700 people. So I was extremely nervous. And to be honest, I didn't get to enjoy the event as much because I was worried. It was the first time and I was worried. But this year I wasn't speaking. I was fully focused on listening to the talks and networking. Really enjoyed it. And I think it was a very special year because of the fact that Muse, launched, moving from a PMS to an operating system.
Yeah. This
which
very
is huge.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty exciting. It was exciting as a product marketer to see how they'd presented it and how the narrative was during that product launch, which obviously was live. It was live streamed, and you could hear people in the audience like almost gasping, like, what's going to be next? And people were spontaneously clapping, which
that's
hoteliers, clapping in relief and kind of joy at these releases, which you can't get any better than that.
I fully agree. I also, in terms of the event experience itself, I think they are also trying to change that, which absolutely I love it, because I personally had enough from all the typical old tradition hotel events, that it doesn't change, it's still there. So they are really trying also to change the event experience, but not only that, also creating value to everyone comes in with the product they announced, with the relationships and trust that happens there. Of course, so many talks, so many business happens on the stage, when people talking or off the stage and when the network and all this. So really great, but good to hear your insights. You have been busy. I see you, of course, with doing a lot of panels, a lot of talks, a lot of interviews and talk about different topics. But what I want to talk about is the benchmark you've been working with.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting, the one with the salary. I think you did it a couple of months ago, if I remember correctly. But let's talk about it. What the problem you were trying to solve? What was it?
Yeah. So the salary benchmark.
Yeah, the salary benchmark.
It was a very interesting project. First of all, from the lens of a marketer, creating a benchmark report really sort of marks a point in the sand that you are the authority on your subject, because as you said before, data is power and we all want data. So Edward Clark, who is from Hotel Tech Jobs, shout out, he had the great idea, last, it was about November, I think I was in Thailand, and he texted me and I was like, okay, let's do it. He said, I've got a vision. I want to create this first salary benchmark report for the hospitality hotel tech industry. It's never been done before. Why? Solving a need. First and foremost, he's a recruiter, a problem solver. So his first thought is, I'm asked by employers all the time, what salary it should be. I'm asked by founders. They don't know. I don't know. We go too high, we go too low. It doesn't suit anybody. So we need to have a benchmark, at least from which to go from. So he was really solving a need with that, right? And what he's done is amazing, because it's uncovered a lot of data that we just don't talk
about it.
So for example, obviously we looked at the average salary, we looked at salary gender differences, we looked at ENPS, which is Employee Net Promoter Score.
Yeah.
We looked at region, and we also looked at different products and how satisfied people were in their jobs and how much they were earning. So to get the full rundown, please just go and have a look at the report.
Yeah,
Whoever's interested in this. But for example, from the gender perspective was really interesting because salaries are actually equal in our industry, which is massive. Yes, it's fantastic. But this is the great thing with data. You can dig down a little bit.
I agree.
And actually what we uncovered is that although salaries are the same, bonuses are on average $15,000 more for men than they are for women, average, which is just massive.
Yeah.
Again, going back to the data, not everybody achieves their bonus, which is another thing we uncovered. We have these great bonus structures in hospitality technology, and not everybody's achieving them. So why is that? That's kind of a question to the industry that we're not sure about yet. But it's good for people, prospective employees to say in the interview process, okay, you've offered me this as a bonus, but how likely am I to reach that? Have your previous employees reached that? Because then you can get an actual take on what you might be taking home at the end of the year. And then we had the ENPS, which was also really interesting.
Absolutely one. Yeah.
There was like a huge gap between the satisfaction in their job for men and women. I think men was like 12 point something and women was a minus. And there are so many factors. Again, it's a data report. We don't know why. We can think about why. We can talk about why. It's data. If you ask me why, I would just say that, women, we often don't have the same progress structure. We don't have the same we actually don't have visibility in the industry.
You're right. Yeah.
There's a lot of things that go on. There's a lot of busy work in the office that lands to women. So we're getting overwhelmed, and there's a lot of sociological factors. But the point is that's how people.
That's the truth. Yeah. The reason why I want to talk about that, because also that made me think that there are a lot of other topics or things also not talked about and can be doing like a benchmark that really bring the data on. So are you working on something? Just wanna.
I'm not working on a benchmark report. I'm not working on a benchmark report at the moment, although I do love working on benchmark reports. And whenever I've done them, I think they've been, not only to give you the insights, but they're an amazing sales tool. So going back to the things I'm working on, all come under the umbrella of go-to-market and marketing strategy, all about creating trust, creating valuable educational insights for our end client. So in the case of the benchmark report, it's creating valuable insights for the end client, Ed's clients, recruiters, HR, founders. It's amazing. I worked on guest experience benchmark report. That's something I launched when I was at Shiji with my team. That provided
that as well,
and the end client was a hotelier, and it provided amazing insights into guest experience. So, this is an amazing sales tool. It's not just for the data. It's actually gaining trust.
Of course,
It's something for your salespeople to open with. It's something for you to send in an email and actually be worth opening. It's something to use to talk on podcasts. So it's an incredible sales and marketing tool, and it's a lot of hard work, but it's really worth it.
Of course, it is. Well done on that, and shout out to the team as well.
Edward, to Danica, to Ed, to Mish.
Absolutely.
It was a team effort, and it was
nice.
Very good.
Outside the industry, I want to also talk about your coaching and marketing, because I know you've been also coaching a lot of director and a lot of marketing strategies and how to build go-to-market and all that. My question is, you did also audit a lot of their profiles, their LinkedIn, and I want to learn about that from you as well, because it's a really area that's becoming a lot popular. I think we spoke about it in the last podcast, and how the CEOs are being visible on. And I think I start to see it happening more from CEOs. Not saying it's from us, but I think it's. But how does it? What is the best ways to start? For a lot of CEOs maybe that want to start or not having the knowledge or the education. How do they start? Where do they go?
Yeah. So the first thing they really need to understand is messaging alignment, and that's not just over LinkedIn. That's over everything you do as a company. I've been in situations at events where there's been 5 different execs, and they've been on the floor and up on stage, and they've given 5 different explanations of what their product or platform does. This is what we do not want. And we do not want that in an event. We do not want that on your website. We do not want that on your LinkedIn profile. So, messaging is often overlooked. It's like an afterthought, especially now with, AI, generation. It's like, you can't just generate text like that. You need proper messaging, and you need that to be repeated until your audience is literally bored of it, because we feel that we're being repetitive. Other people just see 5% of what we're doing, right? So we need to keep repeating our message. And for CEOs, they need to use their profile page as a mini high-performing landing page for their company. You can't ask all employees to do that. That would be the ideal case scenario, and that would be fantastic.
Of course.
But at least the CEO, because it's, it's the figurehead of the company, and people trust people.
I agree.
And people trust a company. I think it's 80% more. I think we spoke about this last time. 80% more of consumers have trust in a company whose CEO is visible on social media.
Wow.
So it's a crazy statistic.
It is.
And people underestimate the power that a CEO can have. They're busy, they're doing this, they're doing that. But by taking a little bit of time, a few times a week to be visible online, it can do wonders for your company.
The connection, with the brand or with the product so much stronger that you hear it from the CEO, and of course it takes time, it takes effort, but I think it's part of the business as well, that you really need to dedicate that and be the image of the company and the product. I think it's definitely great. And I know some CEOs that are doing that very good, actually. And I keep watching them, I think, every week with their posts, and it's absolutely great and makes that connection really authentic, because not many are doing that. And then you depend on the salespeople or, the marketing people. And like you said, everyone talking different message, different. So it's really, you also audit like 10 travel tech LinkedIn pages. More than that.
Many, many more than that.
What's the most message in terms of consistency that you've been working with for these audits or these that you've been working with?
Again, clarity and consistency of message. So what I see is, messaging is one thing, let's get that aligned. Then let's be clear that each platform has a different way of communicating. You're not going to communicate the same on your website as you do on LinkedIn. So often what I see is people kind of copy and paste the intro text on their website, chuck it on LinkedIn and hope for the best. The real estate is very, very small and limited on LinkedIn, so you need to use it really wisely. And I'd say the top mistake that I see is people just don't say in the about section what they're solving and who they're solving it for and what to do next. So that's kind of the three elements we want. Like, what you're doing, are you speaking to me, and where do I need to go next in order to find out more? If I'm interested, if I see myself identified.
You had a panel recently, I think, or a talk yesterday or the day before, was about AI as well.
I attended an AI. I'm not an AI expert, but I attended an AI panel yesterday.
I mean, in hospitality or not?
In hospitality.
Not there. I am not too.
We're all getting there. We're trying as hard as we can. I think every single conference this year is talking about AI search.
Of course,
It's just AI search is just becoming the most important topic. And it's interesting because I sat down next to, at breakfast yesterday, I sat down next to a couple who were retired. They've spent a massive amount on this tour. They'd never been to Europe before. They traveled all the way from Australia. Of course, I asked them, how did you research and plan your trip? Because I'm curious working in the industry. And they told me that they had researched it on ChatGPT.
Okay.
And we're talking about the older generation. And then that they'd used a travel agent to do the bookings. So it really made me think about how planning, your trips is this pick and choose, situation right now, whether it's ChatGPT, using a travel agent, the traditional booking.com or whatever. And also we've got TikTok Go now.
Yeah, of course. This was a huge one. Yeah, definitely.
This is new.
You can book directly from TikTok. This is insane. Yeah.
This is massive. And it's like, it's a continuation of what they've been doing with TikTok Shop, but for travel.
Yeah.
TikTok Shop for travel.
Absolutely. It's again another bold move in the industry that will change because we all look at, social media and, we watch these crazy hotels on TikTok and then you can book it directly. Like, okay.
Yeah.
That's next level. Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. I mean, when I was traveling last year and I happened to be in a place where there was a massive typhoon and I knew it was near the island that I wanted to go to. And I was thinking, how's that going to affect me? Looking it up online, looking it up on ChatGPT, I couldn't trawl through or really understand what was going on. I couldn't get an idea of what was really going on in real time. The place I could do that was TikTok. So went on TikTok, searched the island that I wanted to go to. And there was timestamps from that day going, this is the weather today. This is what's going on. We had a trouble getting over on the boat, whatever. And that's how in the end I actually made a decision to go somewhere else, because I searched that on TikTok. So again, I think we're using different platforms for different uses, because I did use ChatGPT for that journey a lot, but it just didn't suit that use case of that part of my journey. So we're using a lot of different things to plan our travel and to change it in the moment, because we want real-time information.
I agree. This is what's, I think, going to be the next era, is the real-time information, data, directions, whatever, weather, all of that. And I think also with that TikTok move, it also, again, will lead a huge transition in the industry, especially when it comes to social media and comes also using ChatGPT or Claude or all of these AI platforms, and how the position will be starting, to position themselves there in that platform, and how is the ranking going to go, similar to Booking.com 20 to 15 years ago. I think that's what's going to come next, and definitely will change the whole industry as well. It is already, but it will impact more as well.
Changing fast, and it's changing in accordance to what we need as consumers.
Yeah, exactly.
As travelers. Yeah.
Exactly. Really interesting. We can talk about this for long, but we're almost coming to an end. But I have a few questions, random questions.
Okay, let's do some random questions.
Let's do some random questions. Biggest marketing lesson you learned the hard way?
Biggest marketing lesson I learned the hard way? I'm not sure. I think more like a career or company lesson. Yeah. Do you want to ask me that again?
Biggest company lesson?
Because I'm thinking of a specific example, and it's something that I've been talking about over the last few days as well, because I've been in touch with a lot of people in the industry. I think the biggest company lesson and the most difficult lesson I've learned in my career was working through an acquisition.
Interesting.
And this is something that so many people are going through at the moment, and so many more people are going to go through, because our industry is just in absolute shit.
Yeah, oh my God, yes.
Every other day there's an acquisition. And what you don't see behind the scenes of that news is that there are entire companies coming together with different cultures, different expectations, different goals. Sometimes they're two companies that have been competitors, and now they're asked to work together. And it's very, very complicated. But I think ultimately, for anybody who goes through that, you learn such a lot about people, about company politics, about resilience. We've all been there, right? And I think it's one of those things that really teaches you so much in your career. That's kind of the biggest thing I've been through,
Especially when it comes to the culture, I think it's the most very complicated one, I would say. I was in the acquisition when Marriott bought Starwood, so that was a big one. And also bringing all the culture. And it took years and years, of course, to come along together. It's not easy. And I think for me, also close one to my heart is the Citizen M, Marriott taking over Citizen M. I don't know what's gonna future look like, to be very honest, but I think also there's a clash of cultures as well because of everything. But that's really interesting one. What are you building next?
Am I building next? So I am really incubating some ideas to more focus on how to help tech companies, because I have a lot of conversation with vendors, and I see that it's quite a siloed industry. We don't really talk to each other about what we're doing. All our trade shows are focused on selling to hoteliers. They're not really focused on educating and upping our game. And we've got some amazing technology out there, but we've not got a lot of groundbreaking go-to-market and marketing strategies, and companies are struggling. So what I'm most approached for is like expansion in new markets, get me some leads, contact me with this person, because companies are struggling with that. And I think that we could all work together and learn from each other. So I'm figuring out how. I think I'm quite uniquely positioned in the industry to be able to do that, because I'm independent. I'm figuring out how I can help tech companies more by shining lights on great go-to-market strategies and great expansions and great product launches. And I've seen so many good things in the industry that I really want to share with everybody. For us all to grow together.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be following that. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Well, you're one of the most clearest, active voices in the industry, but what something that we don't know about you?
I think everyone knows everything about me at this point. Something nobody knows about me is probably that, before I had children, I was quite an active traveler. I traveled quite a lot. I spent a lot of time in the US, and I had a sliding doors moment, which was that I was going to go and live in New York and become a R&B and hip hop journalist.
Nice.
And I ended
I
up
love
coming
that.
to Barcelona and
Why?
working in travel technology. So
Did you do the right move?
I'm happy with what I've got. But it was a great experience because
Nice.
I was very into a magazine called Vibe magazine. I got on a plane. I went to New York. I knocked on their doors several times. I got an interview. I got the job.
Nice.
And then the visa fell through and I decided to come to Barcelona. So what a lot of people don't know is I'm super happy with how
Nice.
life turned out, but it's always interesting to look back and go, wow.
Yeah, different direction. Yeah, different direction.
Yeah.
Well, it has been amazing journey, I think, for you, and I've been following. So keep this up. Thank you for coming again to level up with Hakeem. I think definitely I leveled up again with you today.
Oh, thank
so
you.
Thank you for that. And we stay in touch, absolutely. And I'm gonna again share your information. I think we have a lot of mutual connection, but a lot of people maybe also can reach out to you for go-to-market marketing or marketing strategies, whatever. But it was a great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I always love talking to you and I love what you're doing. It's
Thank
great.
you. And shout out to Jonathan, the podcast camera. Thank you for being part of Develop Again, and we see each other next time. Thank you.
Yeah. Every conversation can and will elevate you. It's where real talk meets real